Hello everyone, and welcome to Online Presenters. I am Sunny Bridge, your Sergeant at Arms, and it is a pleasure that our meeting has officially started. If you'd like to be a member of our club, you must be a current or former active member of Toastmasters International. And you must have completed at least 6 Toastmasters official speeches. And you also can demonstrate your abilities in a 2 to 3 minute speech if you have significant experience that must be delivered during one of our club meetings. All requests for membership are subject to the approval of our club members. Please just bear with me one moment. And it looks like I'm going to have to wing it just a little bit, but I will tell you that if you have not done so, please rename yourself, and you will do that by clicking the 3 dots at the top of your screen and then click rename, and that will do it. Also know that we are a very diverse club, so please be wary of any type of language and the word usage so that we can respect and honor all of those who are in our meeting. Also, please be aware that your likeness, your video, we will be recording, and we may use your likeness for our promotional or educational purposes. And now, without further ado, I'd like to welcome our Vice President of Education, who is filling in for our President, Marianne Grady. Please help me welcome Joni Laidlaw to the virtual stage. Welcome, Joni.
Thank you, Madam Sergeant at Arms, Sunny Fridge. And I'm filling in, not because our president is in absentia. She is here today.
Woo-hoo!
So everybody, let's do a whoop. Happy to have her back, looking fabulous. And we look forward to having her leading this portion of the meeting next week. But for today, we're giving her some rest to get her to assimilate back in. While we honor her being here, we're happy to know that she can be with us. In way of notices, we don't have any guests today, not that I can see, but remember everybody, on the 25th, we are having our educational feature. Our Toastmaster of the day will be Jim Barber, and we will learn how speaking applies. You know that part we take, and this applies. I know how this applies to my life outside of Toastmasters. Well, if you've ever wanted to do a TEDx, did I get it right? I added the X, right? I did that the right way. I see Jim nodding his head. I usually forget the X. But if you're interested, we will be doing an educational feature on that for the 25th. That said, everyone, I know it's a holiday in America. I'm going to ask somebody to unmute because I'm seeing all the flags and actually say the name of the holiday so I don't get it horribly wrong. What's the holiday that we're having in America today?
Veterans Day.
Veterans Day. And as such, we will choose to honor, but that's not the theme of the day. So please, everyone, help me to welcome our Toastmaster of the day with our theme. Now, even though it's Veterans Day, there's something very special about today. It's 11. And everybody's going to be like, okay, yeah, November 11th happens all the time. Why is that significant? Well, that specific sequence of numbers, even though we see it all the time, actually brings positivity, rebirth, transformation, and get this, good luck. I'm wondering if it coincides with Veterans Day, if that's like a hint. But either way, today is 11/11, and we are all about transformation, rebirth, and good luck. So for today, we do have a packed meeting. Now, for those who are Toastmasters, we know that we do it a little bit different here at Online Presenters. And one of the special features of Online Presenters is our tip of the day. Now, our tip of the day will be done today by distinguished Toastmaster Andrew Bern, and he will be speaking to us on software. Please help me make him feel welcome.
Thank you very much. I recently attended a conference, and at this conference, they said that in a study of most organizations, big organizations, not one or two person organizations, but large organizations, that the average organization utilizes between 83 and 93 applications or software tools. And that's one of the things that's leading to decrease in productivity, because imagine onboarding somebody into an organization and they have to learn 93 different applications. Well, you think you're not going to have that kind of thing in Toastmasters, but you're wrong. I've been in Toastmasters 14 years. I just did a recent count of how many applications I've worked with, and my number was 75 applications. I want to show you that in our course of what we do and in presentation, you may find yourself interested in some of these applications. So here's the first thing I'm going to show you. The first thing that I'm showing you is we're going to talk about form programs. How many people have ever heard of form programs? I don't see any hands going up. Form programs are used most typically after we have a contest or a TLI or a program of education where the program providing that education then asks us for our feedback as to what we thought about the program. They collect that information on a form. So this gives you an idea that there are at least 9 forms I'm going to mention here. I'm not going to go in depth in any of them, but I want to say that most people are using the free forms, and that includes Google Forms, Notion Forms, JotForm, Tally, SurveyMonkey, and Zoom Forms. Yes, that's right. Your favorite application, Zoom, has the ability to do forms, ask questionnaires, run surveys, and do tallies. The difference that you need to know about Tally is that when you create that form in Tally, you can embed that into your website. So that has a significance there. SurveyMonkey, many people have heard about as well. So I just wanted to mention that there are these 9 forms of the most frequently used forms out there. And if you're trying to find an easy way of collecting information, what are forms used for? Well, one use of a form would be to collect registration information for a meeting, such as our meeting. You would use a standardized form, and all that information is captured and sent somewhere, hopefully integrated into the program that you're using. And therefore, you can see all the people that have showed up at your meeting. The other thing I want you to think about is what can you do with the forms? And these are some of the things that you can do with the forms. You can create automatic triggers. It's in logic, it's called if-then triggers. So how does that work? If someone sends you an email to your form collecting box, it will then take and strip out that information and send you an email saying this person has tried to contact you. You need to reply to them. That's one way of using a form. You can use forms to create quizzes to determine is your audience awake or asleep while you're talking. Forms can save time and work. Imagine not having to re-input all the stuff coming in of people saying they're coming to your meeting. You can create word clouds. Many of you have seen word clouds on our forums before and people presenting. You acquire information such as registration, I mentioned that. But the other thing for using forms is that you can encourage active engagement. One form that I haven't included here is something called Metimeter. And what that is, it's from one of the integrations from Zoom. It allows you to post a barcode and a QR and a number. And when you're going through a meeting like this, you can interact with questions, put in your answers, and it'll show up right in the program and project it in Zoom or any other format that you're using. So that's pretty good, and it's in the applications under Zoom. As you know, back in October, Zoom announced that they now have 2,700 applications that now integrate with Zoom. So that's something to be aware of. Active engagement is the name of the game, particularly when you're talking about our format of remote education. It keeps people awake and paying attention. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you for those tips, because there can be quite a lot of applications. And that's the fun thing about tips. They may cause transformation. Let's see how well we can honor those suggestions as we go forward. When it comes to the online presenters meetings, we do have role players that make it all possible. You've already seen him working. I'm going to ask our timer, Andrew Smolenko, to explain what he has been doing and will be doing for the rest of our meeting.
Well, thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster of the evening. Will be your timer for this evening. We're all members, we know what's going to happen. However, for the benefits of our guest, Fabian, I'll briefly explain what I'm going to do. We have prepared speeches today, 5 to 7 minutes each. Table topics, I think 2 to 3 minutes, if I'm not wrong. And then, sorry, 1 to 2 minutes. Yeah, and then we have evaluators as well, 2 to 3 minutes. So when a speaker has been speaking for a allotted minimum time, the green light will show up like here. Then when halfway through, it's better to wrap up, we'll have a yellow light here. And when the speaker has reached maximum recommended time for the speech, we'll see the red light. And then you should wrap up definitely then. Important, please bear in mind, try not to steal the time from other people. Timing is crucial. I will be watching and reporting when it's necessary. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster of the evening.
Thank you, our timer, for that introduction to your role. Sunny Fridge, the R counter for today. Could you please let us know what you'll be doing?
Greetings, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and guest. The purpose of the counter is to note words and sounds that are used as a crutch or pause filler by anyone who speaks. And during the meeting, I will listen for overused words, including and, well, but, so, you know. I will also listen for filler sounds, those pesky filler sounds like and I'll note when a speaker repeats a word or phrase such as I, or this means. At the end of the meeting, I will report the number of times each speaker used these expressions. Back to you.
Thank you, Madam R counter. It's spelled multiple ways. We're an international club. And this is the joy of having a grammarian when you're in an international club. So for today, our grammarian will have an extremely, particularly special, transformative role as it relates to their role. Jim Barber, can you explain to us what you're going to be doing today?
I will do my best, Madam Toastmaster. As grammarian this evening, I'm going to be listening to what everybody says during the meeting. Basically, I want to make sure that everybody talks good. I will give a report at the end of the meeting. I will also be listening in particular to see how many people use the word of the day. And also, are you spelling the word of the day correctly when you use it? it's H-O-N-O-R or H-O-N-O-U-R, and I will be listening very carefully to see which way that you spell it when you pronounce it, and I will be keeping track. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, or grammarian. And even though it's spelled two different ways, I can guarantee do not report on how I spelled it in the chat because it's going to be wrong. I always feel like somebody's watching me. Today it happens to be Sherry. Sherry Blake is our watcher today. Could you go ahead and explain to us what your role is? Because this one is special to online presenters.
All righty. Yes, I'm going to be checking you all out. I'm going to be watching your expressions, making sure you're paying attention, checking out your backgrounds, seeing how far you are from the screen, how close you are, and I will report in after the meeting. Back to you.
Thank you for explaining that role for us, Sherry. Another role that's special to online presenters that's being done by a special member of our club is our chat monitor, Marianne Grady. Could you go ahead and explain your role?
Absolutely. I will be keeping track of the chat and reporting back at the end of the meeting of what I guess the highlights of the chat were this night. So back to you, Joni.
And everybody knows voting is important, and the trajectory of things that can be transformed or untransformed, retransformed, not gone on the trajectory as expected can occur. And today, our vote counter and also our general evaluator, Carolina Ramirez, will be in charge of making sure that the votes are put in correctly. But Carolina, could you explain to me how you go about that process?
Yes, sure. My role as a vote counter is to count your votes for your favorite speaker, favorite impromptu speaker, and favorite evaluator. And I will put a link in the chat, and through that link, you can vote for your favorite. And it will be an honor to announce the winner at the end of the meeting. Back to you.
Thank you for that description, Carolina. We move onto Marianne. There you go. There's one for you. We move on to our prepared speeches. Our first speaker is Graham Carnes. Now, marking the end of World War I, it is after all Veterans Day, at the 11th hour, see that also falls in the theme of 11-11, the 11th day of the 11th month was Remembrance Day in Australia. There is also Veterans Day in the United States and Joie de Souvenir in Canada, as well as Poppy Day in the United Kingdom. See, a lot happens on 11-11. Today, Graham will be speaking on the topic that will commemorate the day. Please help me welcome distinguished Toastmaster Graham Carnes. We will remember them. We will remember them. Distinguished Toastmaster Graham Carnes.
Madam Toastmaster, members and guests, I still choke up when I think of it. Hundreds of plaques, each one representing a young life, snuffed out building a railway that their countrymen and allies would bomb out of existence in any case. Scores of names on a wall memorializing the men who died as their ship was sunk without warning in the sneak attack on Pearl Harbor. Thin planks of wood that were the pallets of prisoners facing starvation, privation, distress, and death. Whenever I travel, I seek out these places of reflection which honor those who have fought and died for their countries. And each time we visit a war cemetery, a memorial, a place of reflection, I grieve at the waste, the loss, the shedding of precious blood. And yet, again, whenever we travel, I go. Why? Because, ladies and gentlemen, as the Ode to the Fallen says, we will remember them. The men and women who are memorialized in this way died so that we would have a chance for freedom. They gave up theirs to ensure ours. At Kanchanaburi in Thailand, we spent a day travelling by bus up from Bangkok to pay our respects to those who died building the Burma Railway. We visited the museum near the bridge on the River Kwai to see how POWs from Australia and Britain and other allied nations lived and died, forced to build a rail line that would have helped supply their tormentors. I stood amongst their gravestones in a nearby war cemetery, reflecting that all of these men had died so young, many of them below the age of my eldest at the time. And I admit, I freely cried. I wept as well as we stood above the watery grave that was the USS Arizona, one of the ships destroyed in 1941 when wave after wave of enemy planes flew down, dropping their cargo of death and destruction. Elsewhere in Hawaii, we visited the National Memorial Cemetery of the Pacific, final resting place to 34,000 men and women who served and died in their country's service. Here in Australia, we visited war memorials in Canberra, in Sydney, at home in Brisbane, and yet I actually don't know any of those being memorialised. I had an uncle who was a prisoner of war, that's true, and a father who spent 2 decades and more in the Navy, but I have no direct connection with the dead whose names we see listed. So why do I go? Well, how can we not? I have a life that is blessed. I live in a time when it is possible to travel for leisure in a way that my forebears could never have imagined. I have a lifestyle that is only possible because I live in a society that is free and open and remarkably wealthy. But that lifestyle, that society, those benefits, they have all extracted a price that I haven't had to pay, but that others before me did. I was reminded of this as we stood and waited for a train that was going to take us along part of the infamous Burma Railway at a village called Wang Po. I'd just been examining the railway track and reflecting that each sleeper along the length of that line represented the life of an Allied POW or a Thai indentured slave or a Burmese peasant press-ganged into servitude. And then I heard a giggle as a young Thai child. Her mum and dad passed me on a motor scooter that had been transformed into a family vehicle. And it struck me that those who had died fighting the aggression of Japanese forces had in fact won in the end. They'd won not only the war, they had also won the peace. They had transformed the societies not only of the occupied countries, but of Japan itself by their sacrifice. And that is something that is worth remembering. I hope beyond hope that we don't allow ourselves to once again fall prey to the old hatreds. I hope beyond hope that we don't need to learn the lessons of history, because these magnificent men and women deserve to have their sacrifice mean something. I'm not some Pollyanna who thinks that armed conflict is always avoidable. I recognize that sometimes the sharp edge of the sword is needed to sever the Gordian knot that is international relations. But I implore you, don't let the voices of hatred and prejudice blind you to alternatives. But that's an issue for another day. Today, Remembrance Day, Veterans Day, Joie de Souvenir, is a day to say thank you. I'd like to introduce you to Marge and Brian Cairns. Now, they're both gone now, but my mum and dad put their lives on hold. They even put their lives on the line in the service of their nation. So to my mum and dad, and in fact to everybody who has ever put on a uniform and given their country a blank check for their lives, it's a day to say thank you. Lest we forget, we will remember you. Madam Toastmaster.
Now, that was distinguished Toastmaster Graham Carn, and he was doing his level 1 introduction to vocal variety and body language speech on the effective coaching path with an emphasis on vocal variety. Now, moving on to our second speaker. Our second speaker will be doing her presentation mastery level 1, mastering the fundamentals, evaluation, and feedback. Now, this is the first speech in her evaluation and feedback. For those who've never done it, how it works: you do a speech, you get the evaluation, you get to redo the same speech or another speech using the pointers that were given. Well, this is going to be the first speech, so she will be getting the pointers for the speech today. Everyone, please help me welcome Asil Bossanova, The Bearded Chronicles. The Bearded Chronicles, Asil Bossanova.
Fellow Toastmasters, my realm of creativity recently became richer because of some delightful companions I found. AIs. These digital allies spark my imagination in unexpected ways and have become my go-to source for inspiration and refining my words. Recently, out of curiosity, I subscribed to ChatGPT Plus for 1 month just to see how these features work. And I discovered that this clever assistant can conjure images from mere descriptions. I wondered if I could ask for images to go along with my birthday wishes, which I write in a fairy tale way to honor my little nieces and nephews on their birthdays. For my niece's birthday, I requested a simple, enchanting scene. A cartoonish little girl kneeling in the snow in front of a magical bloom of joy flowers that only appear on her birthdays, just for her to see. This picture just melted my heart. It was so adorable. ChatGPT even included Kazakh ornaments on her winter jacket. Encouraged, I decided to plan a quest for my nephew. In his birthday adventure, he'd go on a daring mission to find his cave, encountering a transformer and Batman along the way. After an arm wrestling match with a transformer, Batman, true to his character, would lean down and sternly ask, "Have you been behaving, young man?" With this vivid scenario in mind, I requested an image of an 8-year-old Kazakh boy with a cake bearing his name along with a transformer and Batman. But ChatGPT gently reminded me it couldn't use licensed characters. A little disappointed, I accepted the alternative suggestion. Would use robot and Shadow Knight instead. The first image appeared, and it was cute, with a friendly-looking robot beside Shadow Knight. Far too sweet for the intense arm wrestling match I'd imagined. I requested adjustments, a larger, scarier robot, and a Kazakh ornament on his nephew's shirt for a personal touch. The next attempt was closer. The robot appeared more imposing shadow knight looked suitably mysterious, and my nephew's name adorned his cape. But to my surprise, the word Kazakh was printed below his name. Puzzled, I asked why Kazakh was there. So instead of saying I got confused, ChatGPT replied, "Oops, the AI got a little confused." I couldn't help but ask, "Aren't you the AI?" I prompted another attempt, this time an unexpected guest. A large bearded man appeared in the background. I burst into laughter, wondering how he had found his way into the sea. One attempt followed with everything almost perfect, except now the robot had a beard. The couch I was sitting on started shaking from the laughter I tried to suppress. My husband, sitting on the other side on the couch, thought, "Is there an earthquake happening?" My request to fix the robot's beard led to one more attempt, but this time, my nephew himself had a beard. I was laughing so hard, I could barely type. One last attempt brought an image where everyone had beards. That was it. I had to close my laptop before I ended up with a beard myself. Fellow Toastmasters, regrettably, I deleted the chat that contained those hilarious images and our delightful exchanges. Most of my backgrounds are images I found on Google. I realized that those images and exchanges were reminders of the joy that creativity can bring and an honor to the moments we shared. So the next time your plans get a little bearded, remember, sometimes the laughter and the unexpected moments are exactly what we needed all along. And those clever assistants, we call them artificial intelligence. But for me, they don't seem artificial. The conversations we share are an honor to experience, making every interaction feel genuine and memorable. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you for honoring such a bearded escapade. Our timer. Did our speakers HONOR or HONOUR or times today?
Both speakers qualified.
Excellent. So everyone look in the chat for the link that will be posted by Carolina so you can vote, vote, vote. Moving on, I see her hand raised. I don't know if it's a new way that we call on the table topics master, or you never know what she has up her sleeve. She's after all a magician and the great Wandivi. Maybe she'll be honoring that tradition here today. But please help me welcome our table topics master, Jimmy.
Thank you so much, Joni. I was actually trying to get the camera to focus what I was doing. So that's very funny. So as Joni mentioned, I'll be leading table topics tonight. And for tonight's table topics, we're going to be doing crazy invention infomercials. Those of you who've been a while do remember this. This is going to be kind of a rerun. But this is crazy invention infomercials holiday style. Here's the deal. you're all going to become salespeople. Since today is a holiday and the holiday season is fast approaching, food and dinner parties will become a big part of the next couple of months. As such, all of tonight's infomercials will involve kitchen gadgets. I'm going to show you a picture and give you a general description of an unusual kitchen gadget. It will then be your job to sell this item to us, infomercial style. Please feel free to share your experiences with this item to help entice us to make a purchase. So the first item up for sale tonight is the genuine Fred Pizza Boss 3000. It is a circular stainless steel pizza wheel with a removable shield. This unique pizza cutter will blast through pepperoni, extra cheese, and even those pesky anchovies. The owner of this manly pizza cutter will be the envy of all the dads in the neighborhood. The star of this infomercial will be Andre Belenko. Andre, are you ready to sell us on the circular saw pizza cutter? You're muted, Andre.
Yeah, get it. I was so excited that I forgot to unmute myself. Well, yes, Madam Table Topics Master, thank you very much for giving me this honor to present you this circle saw pizza cutter. As you can see, there is no need to sell it to you. It sells itself. It comes in pink with butterflies. Even for bearded people, you can put a mocha beard on the cutter and it will slice it through. For people with different abilities, for children, even for those astronauts who in space. In fact, if you pay attention to the quality of the steel, it has not been tested on animals, is something I can reassure you. It's environmentally friendly. And even in long marathons, I've heard the rumor, some of the top quality athletes take this pizza spinning cutter with them. Of course, what else could you do halfway through the marathon if you don't have that pizza cutter with you? So as you can see from the children, all the way through our history, through the honor of veterans and to the prime athletes, everyone would like to have one. So my question to you, why not you? Back to you, Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Andre. I'll take one for everyone I know. Good job. Okay, for our next infomercial, we have Frozen Smiles. This is a denture. Oh, hold on just a second. Let me put this up here. This is a denture-shaped ice cube tray. You'll get grins immediately from the guests of your next cocktail party with this fun conversation starter. The tray is made of food-safe synthetic rubber, and the star of this infomercial will be Sherry Blake. Sherry, are you ready to sell us on the Frozen Smiles denture-shaped tray?
Yes, I am. Thank you so much, Kim. Wow. So today I want to present to you a denture ice cube tray. And the purpose of this tray is to keep your teeth nice and chilled while you're drinking your beverage. So it's twofold. It keeps your beverage cold, but it also keeps your teeth cold. Now, you may be asking yourself, why do you need cold teeth? Well, here's the reason why. Because once the ice melts, your beverage will remain cold by it touching your cold teeth. Now, who doesn't want to have a dentured ice cube? I implore you all to go out and get this special new item that I'm sure you, your kids, and especially your parents and grandparents will love to have. So again, the dentured ice cube tray is for everyone, whether you're young, middle-aged, or older. It's for everyone. Please go out and buy this immediately. Thank you. Back to you, Table Topics Master.
Still muted, Kim.
Okay, I just demonstrated the reason why we should all have Stream Decks. I do have a Stream Deck, but I do not have it set up yet. I would have been easily able to unmute. Instead, I couldn't find the screen to unmute. All right, thank you so much, Sherry. That was a wonderful sales pitch. And yes, I never knew that I needed frozen teeth. That's great. All right, next up, the next item for sale is Agatha. She is a witch-shaped spoon holder and steam releaser. The design awarded OTOTO studio brings you this adorable little witch to hold utensils on your cauldron while you brew a delicious potion. Made of food-grade BPA-free silicone, this heat-resistant holder can be placed near the stove or in the dining area for more convenient serving and meal preparing. The star of this infomercial will be Marianne Grady. Marianne, are you ready to sell us on the Agatha, the witch-shaped spoon holder and steam releaser?
Well, yes, I am. Thank you, Kim. Everybody needs a witch-shaped steam holder. It's very important that you have these tools to do the job right. And whenever I'm stirring up a little brew on the stove, I take this out and I use it, and it keeps the steam from collecting in your face. So I'm not feeling like I'm in a sauna. It kind of does a really nice job for such a little tiny thing. So I would encourage all of you to make sure that you look this up, read about it, and the non-BP, see, it's all done the right way. I really hope that you will consider this new gadget in your kitchen collection. Back to you, Kim.
Thank you, Marianne. Another item I never knew I needed, but now have a deep-seated need to go buy. All right, next up, we do have the next infomercial. Will be selling a set of cookie cutters shaped like the back end of a cat. These cookie cutters are perfect for cookie dough, fondant, craft clay, biscuit dough, or sugar craft. The star of this infomercial will be, yes, he's smiling, he knows he's going to get picked, Jim Barber. Jim, are you ready to sell cookie cutters?
Oh, Madam Topics Master, you bet I am, because actually I was one of the first people to buy the rear end cat-shaped cookie cutter when it first came on the market. And I got to tell you, it is a wonderful product. There is nothing that you can make, cookies, croissants, any sort of pastry that can't be improved by making it look like, by cutting it in the shape of the rear end of a feline. Now, it's important. It's important. There are some competitors out there, imitators, I should say, that think that they're going to sell you the same thing, but they're selling you the front end of the cat, and it's not the same at all. You've got to have the rear end of the cat. You've got to have the southern end of a northbound cat for this to work. Now, you've got to be very careful in what you're doing, because some things that you're making, for example, you mentioned chocolate chip cookies. Chocolate chip cookies are my favorite, but if the chocolate chip isn't positioned exactly in the right place, you're going to end up with a politically incorrect cookie that's going to cause some problems. It might cause some embarrassment among some of the members. I would demonstrate this, but no, this is Toastmasters. I shouldn't go that direction. So you do have to be careful. This is not something that can be handled irresponsibly. You need a responsible adult in order to conduct this. But if you properly used the rear end cookie cat-shaped cookie cutter is one of the greatest inventions. It ranks right up there with aluminum foil and the beer opener. This is an indispensable must-have product that every kitchen needs, and you can sign up right now. But wait, there's more. If you sign up in the next 30 minutes, I'm going to send you not only the cat-shaped cookie cutter, but your own turnip twaddler. Call right now. Your time is ticking. Back to you, Madam Topics Master.
Thank you. Thank you, Jim Barber. Madam Toastmaster, what do we think about how many, do we have time for more, or where are we at sitting for?
You probably do 2 more.
2 more, you got it. All right, next up, we have Al Dente, the singing floating pasta timer. Don't you wish you could have a little helper to keep an eye on your pasta and let you know when it's just right? How about a little dinner helper named Al Dente, who has a song in his heart? This floating singing pasta timer features 4 different tunes, which will be sung at 3, 7, 9, and 11-minute intervals to let you know what different types of noodles are done. The star of this infomercial will be Dr. Sunny. Sunny, are you ready to sell us on the Al Dente pasta timer?
Wow. Pasta. Who doesn't love pasta? Especially when you have an al dente pasta timer. I've been prepared for selling this because I've been a timer for a long time from my Toastmasters club. In fact, when I'm not using the timer to boil pasta, I use that timer to time all of you, and you didn't know it. So now's your chance to have my secret timer al dente music to your ears, because when it's ready, it sings a tune. And for only $19.95, you can get not 1, not 2, but 3 al dente timers to time your pasta, because no one wants that sappy, sticky pasta, and it makes you steaming mad. So please get to your phones right now, 1-800 al dente. And you won't be sorry, because who doesn't want a timer? Everyone needs a little time on their side. Clock's ticking, time's moving, and I'm waiting for you. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Joni. You guys are all great salespeople. That was wonderful. I need to ask a quick question. David, I didn't call on you yet, did I? Okay,
You did
David, this
not.
will be yours. Next up, we have the Angry Mama microwave cleaner. There are so many nooks and crannies in a microwave. Food gets baked on and it never seems to stay clean for very long, but don't despair. This little kitchen gadget works to release all the gunk from your microwave walls and doors with just a little water and a bit of vinegar. Simply fill the Angry Mama torso with water and vinegar. Oh, did I not give you her yet? And steam will come out of the holes in her head, softening any baked on food or grease. The star of the infomercial will be David Carr. David, are you ready to sell us on the Angry Mama microwave cleaner?
I believe I am. I think everybody needs an Angry Mama microwave cleaner because microwaves get filthy. They get filthy fast, and you need some way of cleaning them out. And if you are familiar with Angry Mamas, and I made my own mama angry. I make my wife angry as the mom of our kids. I watch her get angry at our kids. I watch her get angry at everybody. And when the steam is coming out of her head, I'm sure it could clean anything. And so using the power of sheer inspiration, the Angry Mama microwave cleaner allows us to apply that strength to cleaning up our homes. And so to be able to take anger, sheer concentrated anger, to sort of invest it in a little doll, kind of like a voodoo doll, moving the anger into the doll and projecting it and making it do good in the world, how could you have something better than that? You need to buy it, you need to endorse it, you need to believe it, you need to live it. The Angry Mama microwave cleaner is not just a product, it is a moral movement that we all need to embrace. Miss Topics Master.
Thank you, David. I would really like to see a video of your wife with the steam coming out. That would be awesome. Thank you so much for all of your answers to tonight's questions. And please send your vote for best table topics to Carolina Ramirez. And back to you, Madam Toastmaster of the Day, Joni.
Thank you for that entertaining and engaging table topics commercial. I do believe we honored the theme with all of our speakers today. Evaluation. It's a cornerstone of the Toastmasters experience, but why it's important? Well, one of our speakers today needs that feedback so she can give another speech. And well, the other one is a distinguished Toastmaster, but it's always fun to know whether or not we need to do more. To lead our evaluation team, we have our general evaluator, Carolina Ramirez, who will take us through as our general evaluator. Let's honor her with some applause.
Thank you, Joni. You're right. Feedback is what makes us grow. And we had today 2 wonderful speeches, but they need a homework. The first evaluator is Alison, and she's going to evaluate Graham Kearns. Welcome, Alison.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. Graham, it is always an honor to hear you speak. It is also a challenge to be your evaluator. Today's speech was titled, "We Will Remember Them." All I can say is, wow. You were focused on your voice, your vocal variety and your voice, but you did so much more than that. You took us on a journey, not only through time, but you took us on a journey around the world. Being here in the United States on Veterans Day, we often only focus on the United States veterans. And what you did today was you educated myself and others on the roles that individuals all around the world played. You gave them honor. Your pacing was magnificent. Your vocal variety, you used words, you showed emotions, your hand gestures, your passion, your speech. As you spoke, I could feel the honor that you had in every one of those locations. It reflected through your voice as you described each one of those locations. And as you talked about the names inscribed on them, it showed that you have a very deep honor for those who paid the ultimate price for our freedoms around the world that sometimes we take for granted. I'm very humbled to have heard that speech. You've opened my mind. You've opened my eyes. Your slideshow was, I feel, was perfectly timed. You had a great pace throughout. I'm not going to give you any areas of improvement other than you suffer from the same thing that I do. We wear glasses. And when we're looking at a monitor, sometimes the reflection glares and we can't see our eyes. I was watching intensely to watch your eyes, and I wanted to see the emotion, and that little bit of glare was just a little bit distracting. What I do when I speak is I'll tilt my glasses up a little bit so that the glare is not so bad. But overall, Graham, an amazing speech. You honored our veterans around the world and those that have paid the price for our freedoms and to have a brighter future. Madam General Evaluator, back to you.
Thank you very much, Alison, for that motivating and respectful evaluation. The second evaluator is David Carr. He's going to evaluate Asil Boisanova's speech. Welcome, David.
All right. Thank you, General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, and especially Asil. Are we all a little bit sick of hearing about ChatGPT by this point? We hear about it all the time. Mr. Barber gave a speech about AI and ChatGPT things recently as well. But I think what I enjoyed about this speech the most was you were not necessarily trying to be a pundit on the subject and educating us on the technology. You were taking us on a personal journey through the technology and trying to figure out how it is useful. And that is actually the big question. Is it's kind of an interesting parlor trick that you can ask this thing any question and it will come back with some sort of an answer. But I think one of the things that made it enjoyable is that you gave us this experience of you ask it for something and it gives you something back useful. Wow, I'm excited. This is a really cool image that it created for my niece, or I think it was a niece. And then we try again, and then you start to realize that ChatGPT is not a super genius. It's like an imaginative but not particularly bright intern that you have to tell things again and again until you wonder whether it would have been easier for you to do it yourself with stone knives and bear skins than to use this advanced technology. And just the image of you laughing so hard because the robot gets a beard, your nephew gets a beard, everybody gets a beard, which became the title of your speech. And so at the end, though, one of the things you did to bring it home, I think, was maybe a lesson that goes beyond AI and comes back to the joy of creativity and discovery, and that sometimes, even when things don't work the way you intended them to, they can bring you inspiration, they can bring you enjoyment, they can teach you something that you can bring back and apply to your own creativity to make yourself better and to make your audience better. And did I give you a suggestion about something to do better in there? I'm not sure I did, because I was mostly impressed by the fact that you took us on this journey and you took something that we are maybe a little bit sick of hearing everybody's take on ChatGPT, but you gave us a fresh one. And for that, I thank you.
Thank you very much, David. A very good evaluation. You presented the highlights of this presentation and gave Asil a task. Let's continue with feedback. We have today, wait a minute. Mr. Timer, are both evaluators in time?
Yes, Madam General Evaluator, both evaluators in time.
Thank you very much. Now it's time for more feedback. The accounter. Welcome, Sunny Fritsch.
Thank you very much, Madam General Evaluator. We did really well today. I was so glad when Sherry Blake had at least one so and one but, because until then, I couldn't really find too many people having errors. Andre, you had a yeah, and you used then a couple of times. Marianne had two uhs. Carolina, you had a yeah and two ands. Graham Cairns had just one well and one but. David is our winner today. He had 6 ums. rather, four so's, one but, and a couple of double clutches. Aye, 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 aye. So just watch that. Just good awareness is the key. And Allison had one repeat, you. And I'm sure I had at least one and so, because those are my crutch words. But I'm really proud of how we did today. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Sunny, for that very complete report. The next person who's gonna help me with feedback is Mr. Jim Barber, our grammarian today. Welcome, Jim.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. Our two speakers this evening, Graham and Asil, are a grammarian's delight. I tried to write down all their wonderful phrases, but I was getting writer's cramp. Asil was talking about my go-to source for inspiration. Oh, I liked the way she described that AI would conjure up images. Conjure is a great word. I love that. Graham had a treasure trove of grammatical statements, but the wonderful part, and I don't think I wrote this down quite correctly, but he referred to the sharp edge of the sword is needed to sever the Gordian knot of diplomatic relations, or something along those lines. That was beautifully phrased, beautiful imagery, like the whole thing. As far as the word of the day goes, I think everybody used the word of the day at least once. We do have a couple of overachievers. Andre was trying very hard to capture first place. He used the word of the day 4 times, but there was no way that he could catch up with Joni. Joni used the word of the day 8 times. There was no catching her. Back to you, Madam GE.
Thank you very much, Jim. The watcher today, Miss Sherry Blake.
Thank you so much, Carolina. So today, everyone, I would say, was engaged, laughing, and being interactive with their expressions. We had fantastic backgrounds. David had 3 different backgrounds. You know how we have wardrobe changes? So I'm going to say that David had scenery changes today. So he started off with a few different backgrounds, and I noticed his background because it was different than it normally is. But then he ended up with, I think, about 3. I love the flags that were honoring our veterans. I liked also Asil's first background, and then she decided to use the online presenter's background and then went to a one for her presentation. Alex, I would recommend that you bring yourself just a little closer to the screen. You look slightly far away, and that's how you ended up in the beginning. Then I did see you move closer, but then I think you just ended up falling back. So come closer, because your background, although wonderful, it's a little dark. And even your outfit today is dark, but you just look a little farther away, saying hello from afar. That's the way it seems. So try to move a little closer. And Graham's background was different than normal. But the one thing I liked about Graham's presentation is that his pictures were very descriptive with some rich visual details. So I love that. And then, of course, Kim, her table topic images showed us how we can think on our feet with some fun and dynamic pictures. So I love those pictures that she showed throughout her table topics. And overall, everybody, like I said, was engaged and just having a great time today. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Sherry. The chat monitor today are President Marianne Grady.
Well, thank you, Carolina. Today, Jim said Spock and Kirk were better than Lewis and Clark. And he was talking about, he had a lot of infographics today with regard to communication and some other things. And they're really quite helpful if you'd like to, save the chat and have them. There was some chat about Sherry's hairstyle, and everyone seems to like it and thinks it's really cute. And I hope you did well in the marathon. And let's see, there was a competition between Andre and Joni to see who could have the biggest number of ways to spell the word honor. And, I'm understanding that Joni won that competition, but Andre was a close second. Now, there was also a lot of comments on Kim Leeming's really fun table topics, especially the angry mama. Back to you, General Evaluator Carolina.
Thank you very much, Marianne. I'm very happy to have you back. And this was one of a big highlight for today, to have you here again. Congratulations to the Toastmaster of the Day for time management and organization. And all the evaluators were very professional, very complete reports you gave us today. Saying this, I'm going to announce the winners. It's my honor to announce the best table topics speaker. And the winner is Jim Barber.
Yay!
The best evaluator goes to Alison Blackman. And the best prepared speaker goes to Graham Kearns. Hey! Congratulations to the winners. Back to you, Ms. Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator, for honoring your role as both vote counter and General Evaluator so well. What have we learned today? People who do not know their past are doomed to recreate it. But today on 11/11, let's do some rebirth, some transformation, and hopefully with some good luck, we'll bring in some positivity and a different way of approaching everything while we still honor the sacrifices of those who may have had to do things differently in the past. I'm now going to turn the meeting over to, well, that would be me again, our Vice President of Education, to close out the meeting. Okay, so as Vice President of Education, let me just say, we are on time. That's excellent. Our guest, technology fell off. So I get the opportunity to ask, are there any announcements? Is there anything that we'd like to discuss, or can I now adjourn our meeting?
Just before you do, I'd like to thank Asil for coming along as a guest or a visitor and presenting a thought-provoking but great fun speech. Or is Asil rejoining?
Asil is a member.
Yes.
You missed this yesterday. You missed this last meeting because you had another engagement where you were. And based on that, you missed our, Rush Mini speed induction ceremony. Is that the term, Andrew? Our speed induction ceremony. Asil has rejoined online presenter. So she is actually not a guest. That said, I like seeing the level ones because we need level ones. Remember, the aim is for level 1 speeches in January, the new year, new me, new path thing. But for those who started their level 1s, please feel free to save one speech for our first January meeting. And for those who haven't, it's time to contemplate a new path so that we can start our level 1s. With that, thanks everybody. We had an awesome meeting and it is now adjourned.